Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take on this hump day. Hope everybody's doing well. I got to tell you something. Market rebellion, we are so excited about this quick flip around that we have seen. It's about a 1,600 point turn to the upside in the first 2 days. Might look a little bit different today. Maybe reality starting to set back in. But the Dow yesterday, it was up 400 early. It finished the day up 825 points. A monster day, 360 points for the NASDAQ, both just absolutely ripping to the upside yesterday. And I don't talk about it enough, but we also saw a really nice move, 4% to the upside from the Russell itself, 3% for the S&P. You get the idea. And we recaptured that 30,000 level once again for the Dow. We might have slipped back underneath there today, but we'll get into some of the negatives of today in just a minute. So crude, jumping pretty big, absolutely. When you look at how it, in a very short period of time, from under 80 back now above 86.40 yesterday, 680 for the nat gas was a little bit of a move, but it hasn't really been moving all that much. And with all the talk going on about what's going on in Europe and all this, and then obviously in Vienna and the talk about energy and oil cutbacks and production, that you would think might give a little bit more of a bounce. We're not really seeing a whole heck of a lot there, but it is getting a little bit closer towards that $7 level. We'll keep a very close eye on that. You had the 2-year at a 409, you had the 10-year at a 362. That was definitely part of what was fueling these markets to the upside, is this dramatic pullback that we have seen in rates. That certainly does stand out. Volatility back down below 30, finished the day right around 29. You had that VXN, the volatility of the NASDAQ, back underneath 35. Now, one of the storylines of the day, certainly having some pretty good fuel to the markets, Twitter and Elon Musk. And Elon Musk with a little bit of a reversal and suddenly saying, well, maybe it is time to maybe take this out at 54. Well, stock was up 22% yesterday. We talked about some of the unusual option activity we had there as well. It closed at $52 yesterday, just $2 short of those levels where they were talking about the buyout. So we'll keep a very close eye on that, but certainly Twitter was something that stood out yesterday. 43 million contracts trading yesterday as well. A monster day. We had a huge September. October starting off pretty strong as well. So that's pretty impressive. Every single sector was green. The worst performing of the sectors was still up 1.5% yesterday. It was led from the start, from bell to bell, by energy. Energy was sprinting to the upside, up well better than 4% yesterday. It was Chevron, it was Exxon, it was Conoco. Conoco up 5%. Not such a bad day. You also had the financials up nearly 4%. Morgan Stanley up 4.5%, Goldman Sachs up 5%, Wells Fargo. You look at JP Morgan across the board, financials having a great day. Consumer discretion up a little, about call it 3.5%. You had Tesla up 3%, Amazon up 4.5%. Those big names, those big market caps, certainly having a huge influence on the markets themselves. Materials also up about 3.5% yesterday. Looking at something like a Nucor, a U.S. Steel, a Freeport, a Cliffs, all having a very, very solid day of performance. Industrials as well, up 3.5%. You get the idea. Each and every one of these sectors moving up anywhere between 3.5% and 4%. Absolutely extraordinary. Semiconductors, yes, a subsector. They were up 4.25% yesterday, led by NVIDIA and Micron and Qualcomm and Taiwan Semi. You get the idea there as well. Just a lot going on. Matter of fact, when we talk about some of the movers and shakers and what was really going up and what was going down, not too many names on that list. It really was about cruise ships flipping around yesterday. It was airlines flipping around, Delta and American, some of those names, GM, Lucid, some of those names in the transportation area, as well as Wynn, and then throw in something like a Boeing and a Salesforce. You get the idea. Across the board, really, really seeing a lot of strength. Now, was the mojo just that or not? Well, we don't really know the answer to that just yet, but we can tell you this. First 2 days, outstanding. Today, not really so much. This hump day, boy, there's some pressure early on. Looking at the markets down about 300 on the Dow in the pre-market, down a little over 100 points by the NASDAQ. We have been slowly slipping throughout this first hour of the day. Long day in front of us nonetheless, but down about 350 points right now for the Dow, looking at about 230 points For the NASDAQ, like I say, just a progressive slip to the downside as we've proceeded through the day. Looking at crude, it's jumped up there towards that 87 level. Imagine that, just looking back at crude just a week or so ago in 79, and here we are at 87. 2-year, it is jumping today. 10-year, that's jumping as well. Looking at the 2-year, somewhere very close to a 4.2. Looking at the 10-year, right around that 3.75, 3.76 sort of an area. Bitcoin was over 20,000. That slipped below. We talked about the Dow being up over 30,000. That has slipped below that number as well. Volatility, yes, the VIX, it was 29.5. It started moving up a little bit more. Last I looked, we were over 30. I was looking at the volatility of the NASDAQ. That's back up near that 35.5. Getting closer to where we were not too terribly long ago. I mentioned nat gas. It's edging closer and closer to 7. We'll keep a close eye on that one as well. Definitely worth keeping a very close eye on that. Financials, they're down about 1.5%, but it's communications that slipped even faster. They were down a little over 1%, slipped down 2.5%. You look over at materials, that's down about 2%. You look over at consumer discretion, that's doubled up and now down well over 2% as well. You get the idea, some selling pressure from the start. And we are seeing what is really pulling on the markets as well. Technology was down about 1%, now a little over 1.5%. Energy was positive, but now started to slip into the red and fluttering right around unchanged. So we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. No Fed meeting until very early November. The focus will be on earnings as we move forward over the next couple of weeks as we kick into the earnings season. So what do we got from energy? Well, those beta names definitely having a very great start to the day, at least. Schlumberger, I look at Devon, I look at Halliburton, Occidental, which we've had some buying in there as well as some of the other names, definitely starting to show a nice move to the upside. Those Chinese names like a JD, PDD, NetEase, Baidu, all in positive territory early. Might be looking at one of those for unusual, as a matter of fact. Visa also chipping in a little something. But you look at Illumin down pretty big. Dish getting hit pretty hard. DocuSign getting hit. Those semiconductors today definitely taking it on the chin with AMD and KLAC and Applied Materials, NVIDIA across the board. Tesla, I'm looking at Boeing. Now, some of those are flipping around a little bit. Financials under some serious pressure as well. I look at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, American Express getting hit just a little bit today as well. Now, for unusual option activity, I said something about those Chinese names a second ago. This one's pretty interesting. I'm looking at JD right now. Now, JD was up at 54. It has slipped down closer to about 52, let's call it, or in the 52s. What they were doing today was buying a little over 4,200 of Fridays expiring. So these have just 3 days if you count today as well. Today, Thursday, Friday, then they expire. But if the stock gets up over 55, then these start to move pretty good. They started buying them at 40 cents all the way up to about 75 cents on the 4,200 they were buying of these 55 strike calls. Now, here's the other thing. As the stock is pulled back, if this stock is going to make any kind of a move there, well, those options are a little bit of a discount. Now trading around 34 cents or thereabouts, 34, 35 cents as the stock has pulled back with the markets in this first hour. Be something you're very interesting to at least keep an eye on. There's no doubt about that. We're seeing plenty of unusual option activity right now. Most of it very, very short term, seeing a lot of October expiration and specifically October 7th expiration type options right now that are lighting up on the screens. A very, very busy morning, of course. I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We do not have Rebel's Edge today, but we will see you tomorrow with the Rebel's Edge as well. I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great day of trading.